With loving greetings from all souls at this station, this is Matthew. Earth's energy field of potential is showing that light-filled streamers, albeit still zigzagging, have attained unstoppable momentum. This welcome development, which puts the light's progress right on target, is due to the magnitude of cleansing during your past several weeks. For decades the Rothschild faction of the Illuminati, now known more commonly as Deep State or the Cabal, has centered its activities in Ukraine. Those include controlling governments of countries in the European Union, production and storage of bio and chemical weaponry, money laundering, computer hacking globally, propaganda and in social media, sex trafficking, pedophilia, and imprisoning people for satanic rituals. Individuals in the United States and other countries also are heavily involved financially, personally, or both. Russians didn't go into Ukraine to conquer the country. They went to destroy hundreds of placements where those aforementioned activities were entrenched. When any could be handled in residential or business areas, that's where Illuminati hid them. We heard from Nirvana's Monitors of Earth that containers of deadly biowarfare were stored in the basement of the hospital that mainstream media repeatedly publicized. Extraterrestrial special forces and intelligence agencies, who also learned locations of the placements, told us Vladimir Putin's double notified Ukrainian President Zelensky to evacuate the hospital because it was going to be bombed and why. Zelensky, an Illuminati puppet, didn't heed that warning. The fighting has been a great sadness for troops and civilians in both countries. Their shared Slavic roots go back centuries. Not many people know the purpose of the invasion, much less that after ground troops rescued more than 1,000 people to be used in the rituals, they exploded the tunnels where they had been held captive. Ridding your world of those deep pockets of evil doing was essential. It is what enabled light forces to get back on target and hasten the day when the planet will be free of all darkness. As for Putin's double, he had been ready for some years while Illuminati were trying to kill Vladimir because he refused to work with them. The double had a little plastic surgery, practiced speaking and behaving like Putin, and during the time he was avoiding crowds, he listened to his speeches. When the assassination attempt 2 years ago was successful, the double was ready to step in, looking and acting so much like Putin that no difference was noticeable. After a short time of following orders, he started working with the light forces. You could say he saw the light and be correct. To be more explicit though, what he did was respond to the inpouring of feminine energy's high vibrations that are nudging consciousness to follow soul-level guidance. Another matter you have asked about is Stealth Omicron. The so-called subvariant of COVID is the officially given diagnosis of people who become ill or die from ingredients in the solutions falsely called vaccines. It's also part of the agenda to establish the public mindset that the pandemic is here to stay and semi-annual booster shots will be necessary. Individuals who planned this crime against humanity and still are among the living are making a fortune from the billions spent on vaccines. If we knew when the truth about all of this will come forth, we would shout it from your rooftops. Now then, we know it is difficult to grasp that everything in existence throughout this universe is energy fluctuating at one frequency or another, and that energy is cosmic consciousness. Possibly it is just as difficult to perceive yourselves as so powerful that simply by thinking of something, you set into motion its manifestation. It may be easier to understand like attracts like, the universal law of attraction that is in constant operation. But it's also easier to forget that law can't distinguish what you do want from what you don't want. It simply brings back to you from the collective consciousness what is most similar to your thoughts. If those are about mainstream media reports, which are rife with devastation, despair, and dire predictions of what may be in store, that is what you are helping to continue or initiate. Dear ones, you can feel compassion for everyone affected by adverse circumstances without concentrating on images and thoughts about what they are enduring. What will help change those circumstances is thinking about what you want your world to be. Peaceful, everyone prospering, wise honorable leaders, just laws and regulations, a society that respects diversity, benevolent treatment of all animals, a healthy, beautiful environment, kindness, cooperation, helpfulness. In short, life with love as its foundation. A number of you have asked if meditation really is helping in that respect. Yes, indeed it is. individually, in a local group or computerized gatherings or by agreement for a global mediation time, visualizing and focusing on the glorious world you want, definitely is helping that to come into being. The ability to move mountains is not a fantasy, you have innate abilities to accomplish marvels. Parents and teachers who have expressed dissatisfaction with educational systems describe them as deficient, stifling the development of thinking, reasoning minds, worthless, and one mother wrote, "Many of us are distressed about our children's education." Can Matthew give us any encouragement about improvements in the future? Before we reply, let us say this: when we have been asked what we think will be most effective in opening minds and hearts, we say education. Yes, absolutely, we can offer encouragement. The major changes, which will be implemented in stages, will take time, but it is a good start that some parents are speaking out about what they want their children to be taught in schools. Although opinions now are in opposition, consensus will come when the truth about your educational systems emerges. Long ago the Illuminati decided they could more easily control the masses if schooling was only what they wanted the peoples to know. The present-day generation is weakening as each day passes. However, the textbooks they have published for all age levels still contain only what they want known, so the learning cycle is rooted in a great deal of disinformation and the omission of a great many facts. Therefore, new textbooks with authentic, thorough information about national and world history and all the sciences will be needed, and since language studies will be offered starting with kindergarten, books at elementary level also will be needed. Writing, printing and distributing all those books for all ages in all languages will be a gargantuan task, but many hands will participate to accomplish that as quickly as possible. Ancient records will be brought forth, and myriad recent sources of accurate information are available. All of that material will facilitate preparation of new books. Documentary films and the internet also are educational tools, and wherever their information is wrong, it will be corrected. New editions of holy books will contain only original records. They show the commonality of all religions' teachings about the supreme being of this universe, the divinity of every soul and the power of love. You may wonder what will be done with the multi-millions of textbooks. A copy of each will be put in a building in every country that wants a museum of the printed history of Earth, and all other copies except those that are personally owned will be recycled to produce their replacements. The museums also will house a copy of novels, biographies, autobiographies, mysteries, true adventures, recipes, the spectrum of genres and subjects, and a selection of the world's newspapers and magazines. One wing of each museum will contain a theater and selected movies because those too are records of what has influenced societal behavior and beliefs. Now back to schooling. Just as what is taught will change, so will how it is taught. Students at all grade levels will be encouraged to talk about what they are learning, and that will extend way beyond books. From kindergarten onward, participation in the arts will be emphasized and materials or instruments will be provided. All forms of art, music, writing, painting, dance, sculpting, weaving, acting, photography, landscaping, clothing design, architecture, ceramics, and no doubt other forms we aren't thinking of at this moment are expressions of the soul. Also starting in kindergarten, some classes will be outdoors so the youngest students learn to respect all life forms. They will plant and properly tend to gardens of flowers and vegetables, and help care for the wild and domesticated animals that live at the schools, so students can observe the species interaction and their varied learning processes. Age-appropriate field trips and films of natural life in distant lands and in the seas will supplement personal experiences. Exercise will be recognized as an important part of maintaining health in mind, body and spirit. The Kill Them approach to team sports will change to competition, wherein each member is helped to achieve her or his potential, and sports that can cause brain injury will be modified to eliminate damaging aspects. Students who have no interest in team sports can engage in whatever exercise they wish, and short periods of solitude and silence will follow physical exertion. Studies in other countries similar to your student exchange programs will be available to all who desire, and no child will be denied education beyond high school because parents can't afford the expense. The new global economy will include free or affordable schooling for every child, and it won't be by taxation. Learning devices with emissions that are damaging to brain cells will be redesigned to assure user safety. Not all children will want to be scholars until they acquire a master's, PhD, or other advanced degree. Many will have aptitudes and talents in mechanical, technical, or technological fields or the many forms of art, construction, farming, or food preparation. So some schools will provide training in each of the specialty interests along with courses for well-rounded knowledge, and children who are especially gifted intellectually will attend schools where they can progress as rapidly as they need to keep their interest high. Preparatory courses for teachers and university graduates who choose that profession will include a new kind of evaluating students' progress and summarized versions of new texts in addition to books for themselves and their students. There will be no rigid protocols for teaching at any grade level. Persons who have mastered specific areas such as animal care, gardening, and the various art forms will visit at intervals and always be available to advise. All classrooms will be inviting and vary in size according to the number of students. Rooms for hands-on instruction will be small, films will be shown in theater-size rooms, and student performances, concerts, plays and such, will take place in an auditorium. Not only will teaching be much more enjoyable because students will be happy, eager learners, but teachers will be paid handsomely for their valuable contribution to the society. How that new basis for schooling will be implemented will differ from country to country. The education principles will start with what meets the greatest needs of the citizenry, then build on that foundation. Everything we have described is blossoming beautifully in the continuum to the grand delight of students, teachers, and parents around the world, so you know the future of your educational systems is shining brightly. Beloved sisters and brothers, so many wondrous changes in everything that affects life on earth are ahead. If you chose in your soul contract to transition to spirit life before those changes are manifested, from your far higher vantage point, you will feel fulfilled by seeing your children, their children, their children, and all generations to come joyously living in the world you helped bring to fruition. All light beings in this universe honor you and support you with the unparalleled power of unconditional love. Love and peace, Suzanne Ward.